Hey everybody, Economic Ninja here. I want to talk about, quite frankly, some silliness going on in the world. And we're going to talk about the coffee shortage that's coming. And I know it's crazy because there's going to be a lot of people, there's no coffee shortage, it's in the store. Yep, you're going to see. And, how here on the Economic Ninja channel, I like to tell you things before they happen and how people react to them. It's really interesting. And and we're going to take you slowly through this story. There's going to be some more stories about coffee because I'm going to use it as a learning example for many people that are following this channel that started, back when I was doing cryptocurrencies, but then also when the lumber story happened and I said, don't worry, lumber's going to crash. And that was actually halfway up the chart. As it kept climbing, I said, don't worry. And I even gave a time frame and look, it's happening. And so now I'm going to tell you about how coffee, and I wouldn't take this as financial advice. I wouldn't, unless you're a trained professional and you understand the options market and all that kind of stuff. I wouldn't be running out and buying futures in coffee. Quite frankly, I'm not. But we're going to talk about how this isn't just a one-off event and how you're going to see the rise and fall of a cycle. Okay, so we're going to use coffee as an example. And this is spurred by a story that I did just the other day about how coffee futures were climbing because of a massive frost. And now that I'm learning about a dry spell a dry spell sort of heat wave that hit some really big growers, some massive amounts of land down in Brazil. And people that think they're smarter than they really are, and this should give you hope because this is how economic cycles build up and implode, and then you can go and pick up all of the assets real cheap from people. And I don't care what asset class it is, all of these cycles exist all over the world all the time. Okay, you just need to be able to recognize them. So I did a story. I was reading through the comments of my coffee story about how you're going to see increase in prices, and a lot of people went right out and bought coffee. Now I want to explain something. The way that the supply chain acts, especially this is a great example because this is not being reported very widely. However, today I'm going to talk about a Bloomberg article reporting this exact same thing, but this is not in the news. And I had a lot of real quote unquote smart people at one of my jobs, at my data job, tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about when I was talking about South America just experienced a massive cold snap down near something like 23, 29 negative degrees Fahrenheit. And first person said that you can't go negative in Fahrenheit. It was interesting. Then somebody said, oh yeah, so you're saying the rainforest just had frost. And this is from another college graduate. And I said, I didn't say the rainforest, I said South America. And I said, not all coffee is actually grown in a rainforest. That's Juan Valdez does that in the commercials. And then the next thing is, another person spoke up that quite frankly loves to tout their education level and said, prove it. And I said, well, I don't need to prove anything. I just said a statement. Why don't, everybody in that room had this little device in their hand that actually has a ton of computing power. It only takes seconds to find the truth. But, in this day and age, people don't want to find the truth. They want their ears tickled. They want to be, fed good news. I've heard things like, oh, this channel is a doom and gloom channel. I said, man, if you don't like facts, there is a show out there, a channel that has all these amazing videos of kitty cats and they're playing with yarn and stuff. You should check that out because all I'm doing is talking about facts. But here we're going to talk about cycles. So I went off on that tangent for those that don't like it when you get off on tangent for a purpose. And if you don't like getting off on a tangent, oh my goodness, you should not listen to this channel. So here we go. This is out of Bloomberg, okay? Now, these are neat facts. Why coffee futures scored their biggest one-day gain in over 7 years. Now that was on Thursday. Today is Friday. You're probably going to see this story come out Saturday morning. When you start seeing headlines like that, that should perk your ears up. This is the part of that run. And to give you an idea, we aren't anywhere near what this probably can do here in the next 30 days. And again, that's not trading advice, okay? Because the facts are, first off, this is not being widely pushed out right now. And the coffee futures for the last, 45 days have been sitting around 160. And right now they're, I think, at like 191. But the build's starting to happen. And I'm not saying there can't be a little down spike because of a lack of news. But pretty much, people that ran out and bought coffee, you've got a couple of weeks because the supply chain takes time. And once you start to learn how a supply chain works, you start to see, especially when news runs really slow. And like I gave that example of my friend that owns a coffee store that I've been telling him about this for 90 days. Go out and buy a ton of coffee and you'll crush it, because he has a roasting company, and he didn't really care at all. So he'll care in a few months. So it says here, and this is from Bloomberg. I'm going to link this in the below in the description for you guys to check it out. We're just going to go over a couple little things. Coffee futures soared 10% on Thursday, with prices posting their largest single session gain since early 2014 and their highest settlement in more than 6 years, as drought and frost threaten coffee crops in Brazil, the world's largest coffee producer. Isn't that interesting? There's places in Brazil that aren't rainforest. Coffee's up this week due to unusually heavy frost in Brazil. Vietnam and Brazil have been having problems here and there, which had coffee supplies running a touch tight going into this year's Brazil frost season. Now, I'm going to stop right here. We're going to just have some commentary. It's actually way worse than coffee. Brazil has just seen a massive corn die-off, where there's photos out there on the internet, and we're talking literally within like the last week and a half, where you'll see fields of corn that look like they're completely dead and ready for harvest, and they're not mature yet. They're not ready for harvest. And this is because of extreme weather patterns. Now, a lot of people that I'm going to say are quite foolish, they think regionally, they don't think globally. They don't understand how this world is a global market now, okay? That's why this is going to be the worst economic collapse in history. Not saying it's happening tomorrow, but it's definitely coming, and every day we're getting closer and closer to it. Is because the world's economies are so intertwined, not only with currencies, but with trade. And so anytime, it's funny, I was doing stories about, we're not even gonna touch on that one, but we were doing stories about where you'll see a factory in Japan that burns to the ground, and all of a sudden, all the car makers around the world all of a sudden have a chip shortage. But it didn't happen overnight. It actually happened a couple months later, because the supply chain takes a while to get to those car companies. And it sounds funny, but the same people that say prove it, or it doesn't, you can't go negative in Fahrenheit, or all these great things. Well, there's people like that work for auto manufacturers too, and they think the same thing. They're head down building their cars. They ain't looking at global events. They're not stocking up. And so I want to use this as an example. The coffee story we're going to start covering, because I want to show you that we're just now starting the oh crap. And there's some really smart people that were watching the crop report. And really, these stories right now that are coming out with the coffee and the corn, these are only on Agricultural Digest. I do follow them. And it's interesting because AP started to pick it up. So you got some larger companies like Bloomberg picking it up because they're seeing the uptick in the futures. And like Bloomberg said, coffee just saw its biggest one-day gain in 7 years. That's a headline. That should be, smart people should go, what's going on over there? And here's the facts. The world's gonna be fine without coffee, right? It's gonna be fine. If you didn't drink coffee, I'm pretty sure you're gonna survive. That's not the point. Because there's gonna be a lot of smart people that didn't make it 8 minutes into the video. They're gonna put that in the comment section. So do me a favor, go back into the comment section when they say something like this. And you could put, well, you should have listened at the 8-minute mark. The point is that it's going to get more expensive, and it's going to affect other parts of the supply chain, because as it gets really expensive, and coffee is going to get someday very expensive, you're going to see breakdowns in that supply chain leading to breakdowns in other industries, because I want to catch the right words. They depend on the coffee industry. And we're going to use this exact example, and I'm going to run you through this entire cycle, similar to what I was doing in lumber, but I'm going to go a little bit more specific, because there's going to be a lot of coffee stories, I guess. All right. But I want people to learn from this, and then really inspire you to start thinking globally and thinking, how am I going to take advantage of the crazy mentality of people that can't understand facts and truth and how real world things work. And then I'm going to be able to show you by December how to put this into your own life's work to take advantage of other sectors in the economy that are going to be hit really hard. Okay, guys, hope you got something from this. If you did, please like and subscribe. I thank you so much. I need to remember to say that in the beginning of the videos. I'm always forgetting. The Economic Ninja is out.